Welcome to another episode of the Peace and Prosperity Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Phillips, licensed therapist, confidence expert. And today we're talking about something a little bit different. We're going to talk about the downsides to having confidence. Yes, believe it or not, there can be some personal and professional downsides to you being confident. And we're going to get into it. Now, I got 7 of them, so make sure you stick to the end because all of these are going to be something that you want to at least be aware of. So the first downside to being confident is that you will lose relationships. And when I say that, notice I'm not saying friendships, but relationships. Because as you begin to build up your confidence and you start to walk higher or stand taller and be just more bold in your approaches with certain things, do you think that everybody's going to like that? There are going to be some people who you would have swore, oh, this is my friend, this is my road dog. They may be, or maybe that's the relationship you had. But as you start to ascend and really grow in certain areas, they may not like that. They may feel like, okay, hold on. Is this the person for me? Or is this the friendship that I thought I had? They could get intimidated by your confidence. You may have seen the video, Deion Sanders did it a while back saying, don't be intimidated by my confidence and mistake it for cockiness or arrogance. This is just who I am. And as you step into who you are, you best believe that some people may not want to know who you are. They might not be ready for the person you're becoming or stepping into. So I just want you to be kind of mindful of that. I can say personally, most of the people that I've been around and I've had in my life, whether my confidence was super low or really high, wherever, they've been solid. But I'm not naive to think that I could lose people because of that. So relationships could be something that you have to be aware of. All right. The second thing that you want to be aware of, as far as what could be a downside of having confidence, is you're going to have more opportunities. Now, you thinking, okay, I want more opportunities. This is why I'm working on my confidence so that I can have people knocking on my door who want me, or I have more opportunities to grow my career, earn more income, build more network. That's what I want. I understand that. But on the flip side, that could start to be overwhelming because now you're hot. Now everybody wants to get on your calendar or they want you on their calendar. And you have to be prepared for that because all of those opportunities that you've been praying for, that you dreamed of, when they start to really hit, because they see the confidence that you exude, you just got to be ready for it. So it could be very, very overwhelming. And I'll say this. I remember when I was, what year was this? I think it was like 15, 16. I remember when I went to, not necessarily undergrad, but when I was applying to grad school, I was looking at University of Michigan, University of Chicago, and Howard University. And that's not like an extensive list, but being accepted into all of them, I had decisions to make. Do I go down the street to U of M? Do I have the HU experience at Hampton? Not, I said Hampton. Oh Lord. At the, y'all would say the real HU at Howard. But just thinking about that, I had to make a lot of decisions. And sometimes if you're not confident in your decision making or you have trouble with the decision making, that can be a lot. And even upon graduation from grad school, having different opportunities, feeling like, okay, do I choose this one? Do I choose that? Because I'm going to the interviews and I'm crushing it, but now I have to decide which one do I go with. And even now, there are opportunities that sound good, but thankfully I have people in my support system who kind of help me with some of these decisions as I transition. So just be prepared that these opportunities can be very overwhelming for you. All right, the next one is you keep going for more. Because you're confident and it's been working for you, you're like, you know what? I can keep doing it. Nobody's telling you to slow down. People are just pushing you forward. People are saying, man, I'm loving what you're doing, or sis, you've been grinding, you crushing it here. And you feeling like, okay, let me just keep gunning it. But just like anything, too much of it can be overwhelming, or it can be too much. So you got to be conscious not to overdo it. Now, I'm talking about career-wise, but that can also happen in your personal life. And I see this happen a lot, specifically with my high achievers when it comes to certain areas where people may not know that you're overdoing it. So let me take gambling. I'm gonna start there. Maybe you spending money because you feel like, hey, I've won before. Your mindset is, I can win again. That's a scary place to be, because people won't know how much you're overdoing it until it's too late. Another example is when we get into substance use or substance abuse. You thinking, okay, I can handle a couple of drinks. I've done it before, so I know I can do it again. And when you're confident and then it starts to become it could bleed into overconfidence, you're really thinking, you're not about to tell me what I can or cannot do. So when someone does try to advise you, hey, you want to slow down a little bit, you're like, who you talking to? I got this. I'll never remember. Now, this wasn't somebody who I thought had a substance use problem, but I remember I was talking to somebody and I was like, hey, man, you good over there? You gonna make it? And he said, man, you never know me not to. I said, oh, I see where we're going, because I can already tell that the state of mind that you're in, nobody can tell you anything. So be cautious of that too, because you don't want to overdo it to the point where you're not able to receive guidance, or you're not receptive to any type of coaching or mentorship from anybody else, let alone being vulnerable enough to even ask for help. But we're going to get to that. But I want to say, overdoing it, doing too much, that's definitely a thing when it comes to confidence. Now, another downside of having confidence is to have the discipline in order to maintain healthy relationships. So let me put this bluntly. When you're confident, dating, being involved with having romantic partners or building those type of relationships, that's going to come easier for you, because let's be real, people like to be around people who have confidence. So your mate, your partners, when you're confident, they're going to be like, okay, I like that. I'm appreciative, or that's attractive. So you're going to attract more people. Now, the downside of that is to be disciplined in order to be depending on what type of relationship, if you're in a committed monogamous relationship, are you ready for that? Because as you're confident, you're going to start to look better, meaning you got that pep in your step. You smell good. You know, when people are confident, you smelling good, whether it's your natural scent or the cologne or perfume you're wearing, that aura that you are giving off, people are going to want some of that. So you have to be ready to govern yourself appropriately when you're stepping with that type of energy. Now, I'm not saying to not have that type of energy, but what I'm kind of giving you something to think about is you better be ready to guard it and protect the relationships that you're in with that type of confidence. All right. I'll have to go a little bit deeper on that one, because that one is a little bit outside of the box. Now, the next step to being, or the next downside of confidence is you won't ask for help. As I give you this example, I want you to think about a 2-year-old. Once that 2-year-old is able to walk, talk, kind of do things on their own, you ever tried to help a 2-year-old? they're usually like, no, I got it. That's all they're saying because they feel like, hey, I don't care if you're way bigger than me, 5 times stronger than me. I do this. So when you don't ask for help, that is very scary because as you start to, again, get yourself into certain situations, whether it's financially, whether it's academically, socially, professionally, you want to be able to still have people come in and check in with you. But more importantly, you want to be able to be open to ask for that help. Too much confidence or just the downside of being a confident person, you may be less prone to ask for help. So whenever I'm working with somebody, especially men, and they're coming in seeking any type of support, before we even get into what else is going on, I commend them for seeking support because it is not easy, especially if you identify as a confident person. The next one is that you will suffer in silence. And we've heard this term before. You may even know somebody who is suffering in silence, or you've been that person who suffered in silence because you didn't want to ask for help. You feel like, nah, you know what? I got this. I don't need the help right now. I'm not open to it. Who, me? Nah, I'm Big Daddy. I'm resilient. And you can be all those things and still benefit from help. You'll suffer in silence for a long period of time because now you're letting your pride get in the way of you taking care of you. Don't do that. I know it's tough, especially for the fellas who are listening, but we want to ask and reach out for help. And then the last, but definitely not least, downside to not having confidence is we won't put in any barriers or boundaries for what we're doing. And when I say the barriers, meaning you have a hard time saying no, you can't even fix your mouth to say it because you're so used to saying yes. And you don't know if you say no, what does that mean for you? Because you've been crushing it in all of these other areas. So why wouldn't I crush it here? Even if you're starting to lose sleep, even if your relationship's starting to be impacted, even despite the fact that you feel like you don't know whether you're coming or going because you said yes to so many things. Trust me, you don't want to be that person. I'll never forget where I was in leadership, practice going well, other things going well, but I didn't have all that time. And the colleague said, "Man, you all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good," but I wasn't. And they could see it. And by around that time, I had a hard time saying no. So if somebody needs to talk to me, hey, what you need? I'll make time for you. Somebody need me to work on a project. Okay, cool. When's the deadline? Somebody wants me to help them out with something. Yes, it's like I didn't know how to say no until I started to, one, having coaching really, really helped because I could discern where I give my yes and where I give my no. You only got so many yeses. I got way more no's now than I do yeses. And it's still a struggle. I'm not going to sit here and act like it is just so easy to say no. Like I just started using the do not disturb feature on my phone because being in school and having a family and having time for myself, it's because I have an iPhone with the Mac. So anytime I'm in session, all these things are going off at the same time. And I'm like, that's disruptive. It was by default that I had to use the feature, but using it has helped me say like, you know what? I can't keep getting hit with all these notifications, getting distracted. I have to have some time for me. So that was a form of me kind of really getting forced into saying no without always saying no, like just not being available. The more confident that you become, the more in demand you become, the more people want your time, you're going to have to practice saying no or not right now. And you get back to them. That's cool. I listed 7 different downsides to being confident, which some of these you may have thought about and some of them you may not have. But as you continue to work on your confidence and people start to want more of your time, or you get into the relationship that you want, I want you to be mindful that you're going to have to be disciplined, govern yourself accordingly with how you move, how you spend your energy, because more than likely the confidence that you have is going to keep growing. But I just want you to be aware that not all things related to confidence are going to be good, but that's okay. So let me know, y'all, what are some of these pieces of the episode that really stood out for you? And let me know what other topics you want me to talk about. Other than that, as always, I want you to have a blessed day and listen to another episode. All right, peace.